Roche.
And I'm Jeff Smith. Thanks for joining us tonight. The capacity at Wea Ridge Middle School grew today as 275 students from Southwestern Middle School moved in and made Wea Ridge their new home.
School officials say the move will likely be permanent for the remainder of the year. News 18's Elizabeth Rentschler joins us now live from Wea Ridge with more on how the first day went for all students. Elizabeth.
Warm and welcoming is how school officials described it to me today. In fact, if you take a look behind me, you can see a sign made just for those Southwestern students welcoming them here to Wea Ridge. And now what we have here is actually really amazing because these two schools, Wea Ridge and Southwestern, actually have a bit of a rivalry, but today they put that rivalry aside and came together as one. And as one teacher described it today, that's exactly how it should happen. It was all about new beginnings Monday as students from Southwestern Middle School began making Wea Ridge Middle School their new home.
Yeah, I think we're off to a great start.
7th grade social studies teacher Amy Craig began that new beginning by reading her classes a story. But it wasn't just any story.
I knew for the first day back, I wanted to find a book to read. I just didn't realize I would be so fortunate and find one so perfect.
That perfect story, Craig says, is about a group of animals coming together after their farm is destroyed by a tornado.
I found this great book called Otis and the Tornado. It was a perfect way to get them talking, to see that there's good that comes out of bad, because at the end, all the farm animals, including the bull, get along.
And like those farm animals, Craig says students at Wea Ridge and Southwestern have come together despite a small rivalry. In fact, Craig says the support has been almost overwhelming.
And the kids, the smiles on their faces. Some were, high-fiving, bumping on the way down. It was wonderful. They made us feel real at home.
School administrators say it's likely the two schools will remain in the same building for at least the remainder of the school year. But Craig says they're family now, and families stick together.
It's a family out there, and families always do. They always get through the tough things.
And Craig says pushing through and finishing this school year together is exactly what they'll do.
And getting on with getting on, let's get out our study guides. Tomorrow's a test.
And of course, coming together is certainly what it is all about. But I bet many of you at home are wondering how, in fact, they literally were able to come together and fit inside this one school. Well, I spoke with TSE Superintendent Scott Hanback today, and he told me that luckily Wea Ridge actually had a lot of open space. So what they were able to do was move the 6th graders out of their wing and place them in other open areas of the school. That allowed them to place all of the Southwestern 7th and 8th graders in that 6th grade wing. And Dr. Hanback said that's really what they wanted to do because they wanted to make sure to give them a little bit of privacy so they could remain and keep the integrity of their school during this tough time. Now, as for the 6th graders at Southwestern, they are now at First Assembly Ministries in Lafayette. Now, I also spoke with Dr. Hanback today about the Southwestern school itself, and he says right now they're still a little unsure of the damage to the school because it still is a little unsafe to enter, but he said it did suffer severe damage, and as for now, he's hoping that we can have all those students back in their normal schools by August, but he says that's something they'll just have to wait on.
My hope is really to have both schools back on property by August, but it's probably too early to tell, and it's probably a little bit of wishful thinking.
And you heard it there, it could take at least another year, at least till next school year, for those students to get back into their classrooms. But I spoke with officials here at Wea Ridge today, and they said as long as it takes to get those two schools back up and running, they will keep their arms open and welcome students for as long as it takes. Reporting live in Tippecanoe County tonight, Elizabeth Rentschler, News 18.